So if you don't mind, let's get the session started. Thank you for your time here out of your busy schedules. My name is Kim Jae-geun from Korea. I'm going to chair and moderate your presentations and discussions. I think we are just of us. I think it would be great for us to have self-introduction time. So why don't we start from here and take a round of introductions. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Srinakarinwirot. I come from Thailand and I'm currently a social studies teacher in Srinakarinwirot Science Academy. It's kind of specialized science high schools like the KSA from Christ in Korea. Super Science High School in Japan is like Western High School, something like that. Yes, so very appreciate to be presented here and I will be discussing to all of you. I hope that we can have a fruitful discussion today for our very cutting edge knowledge of AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Kang Tae-hyun. I'm a professor in Jeonbuk University, Jeonbuk National University in South Korea. I have no experience to present in English. It is first time, so I think it is very opportunity. So I and Professor Kun have present. Maybe we present. We are first presenter. So because I am here. Nice to meet you.
Hello, my name is Srinakarinwirot from University, Japan. I'm also not familiar with making a presentation in English, so I feel a bit anxious, but I will do my best. I'm very happy to have a very great chance to share my ideas with you and discuss for further research or academic exchange. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon, my name is Yoon Choi. I'm an Associate Professor of Social Studies Education at Ewha Women's University, Korea. Well, it's my honor to have a chance to share my research and work with distinguished colleagues from multiple different countries. And even though we have a small group today, I think it could be also a good opportunity so that we can have in-depth discussions and conversations. Thank you.
Okay, let me walk you through the processes of this section. We have time until 4:30 p.m., am I right? So we have about 3 hours and a half. So I think presenters, you have a lot of time to present on your manuscript, and discussants also have a lot of time. So you can have enough time for your presentations and discussions. For the first presentations, we have Professor Yutaka Kimura from Japan, and his manuscript, is titled Discussing the Possibility of School Curriculum in Japan from the Perspective of Nurturing Global Citizens in the Digital Era. Let's give him a round of applause. Would you come over here?
make a presentation on the topic of discussing the possibility of school curriculum in Japan from the perspective of nurturing global citizens in the digital era. First of all, I want to start with my very brief introduction of myself. I've been interested in research on global education and education on sustainable development, particularly focusing on the research implemented in Japan and Australia. And, my major is educational methodology, which is a field of study about educational curriculum development, resource development, assessment, or lesson studies, and so on. And I've also been working with service and in-service teacher training in Japan. So teaching at the university for students who wants to be a teacher or do some training for already becoming an in-service teacher. How to develop the curriculum with the perspective of education for sustainable development. Something like that. Okay. So at first, I want to introduce the basic information on the school system in Japan. It's very outlined. So some yes, sorry. This is
recording in progress.
School stage and the age of the student. Nursery school, kindergarten, elementary school, lower secondary and upper secondary school. And elementary school and lower secondary school is a compulsory education in Japan. And all the school stages, there is a national curriculum standard, which is a kind of course of study. So guideline for developing curriculum in schools. And in the preamble of the Japanese national curriculum standards, such a description is in. The procedure from page 101 to 104 is mine. And all the information is in the paper, so if you are interested in this, read later. I want to introduce this preamble because it aims to clarify the philosophy for revision and share it widely within the society. And in the preamble, there is a description, a builder of a sustainable society. This means through the education at all school stages, fostering or helping make students become citizens who can be a builder of a sustainable society is a very important aim in Japanese school education. So in this presentation, I want to use the word global citizens, which means builder of a sustainable society. And the definition of education for sustainable development, Japanese National Commission for UNESCO describe or explain what is ESD. And this description is also in the paper in proceeding. Just have a brief check at the sentence turned into red. ESD is education that fosters the builders of a sustainable society. So the preamble of the national curriculum standard is based on the same concept. And the school curriculum in Japan
basically consists of mainly five learning areas: subjects, morality period, which is special time for moral education, and the foreign language activities, period for integrated studies and special activities. So, as you can see from these five learning areas, no learning area is specialized for ESD or global citizenship education in Japanese school curriculum. So, how to embed the philosophy or ideas in each learning areas is very big and difficult task or challenging for Japanese teachers. And because of the high affinity with the philosophy of ESD, the period for integrated studies tend to be a kind of core learning area for implementing ESD in Japanese school, because this period requires students to do inquiry and cross-disciplinary studies or problem solving or taking part in society activity and collaboratively. So what's the key point for implementing quality ESD? It's from UNESCO. Of course, there are so many important or key points for implementing ESD, but I want to introduce very specific points. ESD must focus on the big transformation or change in individual action, intertwined with reorganization, social structures, or the transformation towards a more just and sustainable directions. But in many practices implemented in Japanese school as a ESD, sometimes just thinking or learning about environmental issues or altogether gather the garbage from the road or river or somewhere else. It's important, but not a very good practice as a ESD, because such kinds of activities or learning not necessarily require students and teachers a big transformation. So how big transformation can be realized through the curriculum is very important for the quality ESD. About the digital era, in Japan now, GIGA school program is progressing. This is led by the Ministry of Education and aims to such kinds of goals. Mainly aims to realize an educational ICT environment through supporting maintenance of one devices for one student with a high-speed network in schools, and also through the best mix of past educational practices and cutting-edge ICT technologies. So from these descriptions, I can point out that GIGA school program is mainly focusing on device or network or technologies. So maintenance and enhancement of learning and teaching environment is the main focus for the GIGA school program. GIGA school program is mainly focusing on the needs of implementing education or ESD. So what's the key challenges for implementing quality ESD in GIGA school program? So to review essential competencies all students should acquire and key points for teachers to develop effective curriculum and lessons from the perspective of ESD, we have to review this, the essential competencies, I think. Otherwise, just do some lessons which cannot necessarily realize a big transformation. So, yeah. And after that, to confirm possibilities of ICT which can be effective and useful for quality ESD. This is my thought and opinions. So, what is the possibility of ICT? This information is from the materials which Ministry of Education released. Maybe invest four possibilities pointed out. First one is investigative learning. Second one is expression and production. Learning with distance and information modality learning. We can also point out that these possibilities about the learning way or method or means not so familiar with the point of ESD. So further discussion research, how is essential competencies all students should acquire through ESD discussed or determined in digital era, and also how is key point for teachers to develop effective ESD curriculum and lessons discussed or determined in digital era. I want to progress my research on such questions, and also I want to share with you the situation in each country for ideas for future practices. Okay, so that's all for now. Thanks so much for your listening and cooperation.
Thank you for the interesting presentation delivered by Professor Kimura. On the presentation, we have designated panel discussion by, what is your name again? Dr. Srinakarinwirot from Dr. Srinakarinwirot, yes, from Thailand. I think you can be seated in your place.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Professor Kimura. Okay, you proposed an interesting point about the curriculum because one of each of us focusing on the instructional and curriculum, right? But today we are going to talk about an AI. I want you to share for us about the perspective of emphasis on using AI learning or teaching in the curriculum level, possibility in Japan, and how other countries can implement that kind of fostering learning AI toward ESD in other countries too. Yes.
Thank you so much for your questions and comments. Actually, when I wrote the summary of my presentation, I didn't mention any at all about AI, but I was in this room, so I'm not sure the reason why. But yeah, how to use AI in Japan is all in educational setting in Japan. Particularly in school, is very big discussion about also in Japan. nowadays many teachers and students are trying to do what they can do, and how they can use it effectively or restrict for learning. So I'm not sure what is happening in the future, to be honest. But using AI is very, very useful, of course, because many information we can easily get or organize in a sentence, or which can be very helpful for students and teachers to share their ideas with others. So if we can use it very effectively, it should be very good opportunity to progress our learning. But if students stop to think or not, students do not criticize what AI is talking or telling us, that means students are controlled by AI in a sense. It's very, very big problem, because students, in a sense, I can say, students lose their subjectivity. So how we can use AI is a very important question, I think. Of course, same in the field of ESD. Does it make sense?
Yes. And what do you think about how AI can help students learning about ESD?
So if students ask AI, how do you think about my idea or something like that, AI will give some answers. So probably students can present their ideas and think deeply about their own ideas with AI, even when students cannot meet their friend or teacher face-to-face or through internet. They can deepen their learning by themselves with AI, which is one of the useful ways to use AI in ESD. Because ESD requires transformation of the students' ideas or way of life. So since something from many factors or perspective is very, very important, so AI probably will help to do that.
Thank you. And one more question. What do you think, should we put learning AI into the teacher training curriculum?
It's a very interesting question, thank you. Actually, teachers as well as students are not so familiar with using AI through learning. So trying to use AI is very, very important learning opportunity for teachers as well. So try to use and what they, the findings they realize through learning with AI, and teachers can share their ideas and findings with each other, and altogether they can try to find out more effective way to use AI for their own lessons with other teachers. Makes sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
feedbacks on the presentation or even the discussions. Oh, then let me ask you one question. Can you go 2 pages backward? Let me. Just a simple question. Can you clarify a little bit more on this information morality of learning? Because it sounds a little bit unfamiliar to me. It's combined words of information and morality. Yeah, so what does it mean?
Thank you so much. It's very close idea to what the keynote speaker, Dr. Warai, mentioned. Information on the internet is very, sorry. There are so many kinds of information on the internet. So some are very useful and correct. Some are, in a case, fake news or very unreliable information. So students, of course, teachers as well have to get or develop the competence to criticize the information and find out which is correct or which is wrong or something like that.
Can you please give some example in Japan in practice about morality teaching or information?
Some teachers have used newspapers even before internet widespread. Teachers prepare some kinds of newspapers which focus on the same topics. Students can read each newspaper and find out what is the common information, what is the information or debate or difference between the informations. And such kinds of learning can be realized even with the internet. And so students try to find out and try to look for the information on the topic of, for example, climate change, and gather the information and compare with each other what they found. This is probably the common knowledge. This is very discussing topics deep on their knowledge or perceptions about that fact or topics. It's one of the examples.
I have one case very interesting because Thailand and Korea share a very similar situation about hot debate on the internet. For example, like we are fighting on the idol topic. For example, like Korean and Thai people or even fighting about Blackpink or something like that. It's very hot debating. So any something like that happen in Japan. And how do you teach our students or teachers? Because it is a really hot case in Thailand, so we bring to teach our students and our teachers, professors, teachers, when we are going to the internet.
Sorry, I can't give the concrete example on the about the Japanese situation, but probably similar discussion is happening like this. But sorry,
I think we can get back to the questions later on because I just came to know that the title of our session, I didn't know. The era of AI, the citizenship education and teacher. I think the first and the fourth presentation is kind of irrelevant to the title, but the second and third, by Dr. Srinakarinwirot and Dr. Choi will be address this issue of AI and social studies or civic education. So I think we can get back to that later on. So thank you again, both of you, Dr. Kimura and Dr. Srinakarinwirot. I think we can wrap it up for the first presentation. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next second presentation, which will be delivered by Choi from Women's University. The title is Integrating AI into Social Studies Classroom, Lessons from Trials and Errors.
Sure. All right. Well, I have a great responsibility to do with the AI theme from now on. Let me start. So my presentation today deals with my practices and research based on integrating AI into social studies education and classrooms. And I have been involved in my university, sort of like an organization-wide project dealing with AI in education in different school levels and subject matters. So my role in that project is doing AI projects, AI in education in secondary levels, in the middle school and high school, social studies classrooms. So I have been working on this project for the past 3 years, and it's been my third year. Work with in-service teachers, high schools and middle schools. So today I'm going to share most of my experiences rather than like theoretical backgrounds, so that we can share some ideas and talk about some more, I would say, about failures and tears instead of successes, so that we can keep this discussion going on. All right, AI in education. I know there are a lot of different definitions and conceptualizations, but this is a model that I use often. This model is created by the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Education. So at the end, in a nutshell, we can learn about AI, we can use AI in classrooms, and we can also make AIs. About AI, it is really about education about AI. So we students learn concepts and principles, facts, and ethics about AI. We can also use AI as a pedagogical tool in classrooms. So education using AI, students may have some experiences. They will be able to apply AI analysis in classrooms in their learning. It could be also their learning support and assistance. Students, they can actually code, develop codes and study based on their knowledge, understandings of algorithms and machine learning. They may be able to come up with some of their constructions, innovations, and development experiments in multiple senses. But then, all in all, what this is for is developing AI literacy in the end. Well, literacy in its figurative sense, meaning reading and writing, understanding. But we use the term as in different subject areas to show, some students higher level of understanding, critical analysis, etc. So for that sense, we can say through all these approaches, we can aim for AI literacy in multiple different subject areas in the school curriculum. Well, there might be similar conceptualizations as well. So I'm gonna just quickly, show you some of the examples of different conceptualizations. So, in a similar sense, we can also talk about there are 3 different elements of AI in education. Students can learn about AI concepts like technical and conceptual understandings of the basic AI. So, for example, like what is machine learning and how it can be integrated in different subject areas. AI practices, the techniques and strategies used when applying AI. So, for example, appreciate the real-world application of AI concepts such as speech recognition or robotics, which I indeed focus on this aspect in my project. And we can also learn about AI perspectives, ethics, moralities and responsibilities, responsible ways to use and create data, attitudes and dispositions adopted while solving problems in the real world. Bloom's taxonomy can be also integrated in such discourses of AI in education. skills of our students. TPAC framework, which is a technological framework dealing with some competences that teachers are encouraged to have when to teach. So for TPAC framework, AI literacy can be also applied to that aspect as well. So TPAC deals with three different knowledge aspects: content knowledge, technological knowledge, and pedagogical knowledge. So in every sense, AI can be, defining rooms, to be integrated in a natural sense. So content knowledge, we can talk about AI awareness, ethics probably too, technological knowledges. Teachers can better know about AI-related agents or gamified elements. For the pedagogical knowledge, they will be able to develop how to design lessons using AI in classrooms. So to better deal with the AI education concepts and the meaning of the AI literacy, I asked ChatGPT what it says about AI literacy. And it says this. So AI literacy refers to the ability of individuals to understand, engage, and navigate the concepts of AI. It encompasses a wide range of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. So it gave me this long list. Pretty good list, right? Dealing with a lot of the ideas which I covered in the previous sort of theoretical and research-based discussions. So this is what ChatGPT gave me the answer for the definition of the AI literacy. Well, then you can think about what role does AI have in the field of social studies? Social studies traditionally and historically referred as area of study in humanities and social sciences, which we seemingly have some distances to technology and science areas. But still, thinking about some of the 6C competences that AI in education emphasizes in the field of education, we can find some connections to social studies in an easy sense indeed. Because in the 6C competences, it emphasizes when we deal with AI in classrooms, conceptual knowledge is important, critical thinking, creativity, character convergence, and computational thinking, which sound very familiar to us, the social studies educators, right? These are the skill sets indeed that we emphasize a lot in our classrooms and curriculum. There has been lots of media coverages on the linkage between social studies and AI, and then theoretical discussions and research-based conversations as well. So this article, I purposely chose this article to show you in this presentation because I think the title well captures the close connections between AI and social studies. So why social studies is becoming an AI study? Because AI is not just a technological issue, it can be a social studies issue. It deals a lot with data analysis, analytic thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving, etc. And AI ethics as well. But there are also skepticism and worries and concerns having AI too much spaces and sort of tech domination in social studies. So this is an article published, I believe, a couple of years ago, telling that technology won't save us. I'll call for techno skepticism in social studies. I only put an abstract of this article here, but what the authors try to say is that we need to be very careful and ethical, and we should be responsible for adopting AI in social studies. In other sense, there are also papers and researches dealing with and finding the good area that AI can be incorporated in social studies. So for example, a couple of years ago, when machine learning was sort of like a trendy jargon, social studies journals published certain articles like this, showing that probably a newspaper, machine learning based sort of like a newspaper analysis program can be used for students' news literacy and media literacy. So here is an example. So a tool, like AI tool, helps newspaper, traditional newspaper like this, and it shows, for example, this type of image. By 100% chance, this is an advertisement, and 99% of here, this can be a photography of somebody, and this can be a text or something like that. So it can be a pedagogical tool for students to analyze and understand news media. And now everybody's talking about generating AI these days, right? The ChatGPT is a text generative AI, and DALL-E and Midjourney as an image creative AI. So social studies educators also say that, okay, so there should be some connection. It's just, okay, good. So the influences of AI in educational practices like social studies, and how we as social studies people would think about the democratization of such processes. All right, so my research, as I said at the beginning, is integrating AI into social studies classroom, lessons from my 3 years of experience as trials and errors AI in secondary level social studies classrooms. I mostly focused on the AI, using the AI aspect, so usage, application, and practices of AI in social studies. Background, this is my organization. I worked in as a University. We have a teacher education program, and I am a social studies teacher educator. The organization received some grants from the Korea Foundation for the Advancement of Science and Creativity, and this is a long-term relationship between the organizations. So for the past several years, my organization tried to become and serve as an AI-based creative education hub, and I'm one of the member of such efforts. So vision that we have is establishing a hub for creative education practice in preparation for the future era of convergence. So here's what I try to do. So integrating AI in social studies. In only social studies, we focus on 3 different areas while giving education experiences to students, knowledge and skills and values and attitudes. So the knowledge can be anything. First year, we talked about law, and then diversity was the theme, and this year, sustainability is the topic. Social studies contents. And then the skill, because the organization, the aim is the creativity and convergence approach. We focus on creative thinking as a skill focus. Values and attitudes, of course, we think about democratic citizenship, which is the foundation or purpose of social studies education. But while doing this as overarching sort of pedagogical tool, we try to use and reflect AI, and with the democratic citizenship aspect, we also try to incorporate some AI ethics too. Our research and practice is based on design-based research method, meaning is that we come up with some educational ideas, we implement them, we try to evaluate and try to reflect, so have a circulation to make betterments and improvements in our practices. So teacher educator is me, and I collaborate every year. I insert social studies teachers, so we come up with lesson plans, a series of lesson plans together. We implement the lessons to the teachers' classrooms, and we use the pre and post test in a quantitative sense. We also collect some qualitative data, but for today's presentation, I'm going to mostly focus on qualitative aspects of the data analysis. All right, so this has been what I have done. In year 2021, a couple of years ago, we tried Typecast, which is an AI voice service system. It's an interesting tool. It's an audio content production AI. With the tool, we studied law, criminal law, in that year. Last year, we tried to focus on big data analysis on social trends and public opinions. We used a platform called Soundtrack, which is a Korean one, but it houses a large volume of news data, so we can analyze them and see, create the word cloud, etc., to see the trends of certain aspects of our society. And for the content aspect, we focused on diversity last year. This year, this is still going on. images. And the focus of content is sustainability. So how these AI services and tools were selected? It was after a series of discussions with classroom teachers. First of all, we try to pick some of the AI tools that social studies teachers, in a normal sense, in an average level of knowledge and experience regarding AI, can teach and get access to those AIs. Because if the tools are too advanced level, difficult to understand, requiring coding skills, it is unlikely to be used in classrooms. So we try to take a broad approaches. Number two, we try to select free web-based resources instead of mobile devices, because it's better easier to use, better applicable to students. And we also try to find some resources which is accessible to a large number of students, does not require significant level of prior knowledge or experiences. But if so, a lot of students will not find some interest or have difficulties in learning. So this was one of our category selection criteria. And lastly, we try to think about, is this suitable for the ultimate learning of social studies? The focus should be on social studies, not AI. So that's one of the things that we try to stay focused. All right, so year one, which was 2021, we studied law. We focused on criminal law and concepts of justice. So that's what students learned. With that, students use the AI voice application to create their own understandings of criminal law, juridical cases, and they sort of reform their understanding in a new type of news media. So the lessons have three lesson plans are incorporated in the program. We have selected 5 high schools as 10th to 11th grade and 670 students study this program. Some of the cases that students studied with the criminal law is this. For example, someone will say that even if it's not me, so it deals with the law, sort of the content area, the emergency rescue duty, crossroads between public and private life. What if you're a parent and your son committed a crime? You as a parent should hide the criminal or bring him back to the police. So that's sort of like dilemmas, legal dilemmas that people may have. These are the scenes that students are actually studying the law, and they're having a discussion on the cases, what they should do in some dilemmatic situations. And this is the type of test that we use for the program. I hope that it works because I put an introduction video. Let me try. Not working. Okay. Let me quickly try if it works because it's better to actually see. Let me. Oh, not working. All right, so probably later on we may try that.
락을 푸실 수 있어? 락을 푸실 수 있어서?
We'll do a quick try. If it's not working, I'll just move on. So this is it, and I hope it works.
I'm going to briefly introduce Talkcast to you. In Talkcast, you can choose different voice tones and emotional styles. You can also set the tone of voice for different emotions for your content. Do you want your content to sound sad? typecast or you can make it smaller. You can also change the background of the image and image. Besides me, there are many other characters. Having a realistic dictate with an active voice and choosing the character that best fits your content. Do you need to insert subtitles or use a screen transition? Typecast can help you with that too. Click the download button and choose between audio and video. Typecast will enrich your content.
All right, thanks for your patience. I know the sound quality was not really good, but it is what it is. So it was the introduction of the video. Let me quickly turn this off and all right, going back to my presentation slide. All right, so as you saw, this is an audio and video generative AI. You can set different tones and speeds. You can choose different characters and what else? Backgrounds and subtitles, etc. So with these tools, students, so these are the criminal law cases that they studied. They wrote newspaper manuscripts dealing with such elaborate cases and similar social problems, and then they created AI-based news with that tool. So this is how students are working with some devices. Year 2, which was last year, we talked about in our program diversity, multiculturalism. And this program dealt with some prejudices, discriminations, and hatreds our society, Korean society has against different racial groups and people from different nationalities and social minorities. And we try to analyze the social awareness regarding diversity and our own prejudices through the big data, AI data analysis. This was applied to 4 different high schools and 10th to 11th grade, and over 400 students did this program. Big data, speaking of big data, well, how is it different from data? Well, it's big, right? But there are different characteristics that scholars define. So big data has different characteristics like variety, volume, velocity, very big, unlike the normal traditional meaning of data, but it also has more values, diversity, variability, and visualization as well. So nowadays, people try to focus on the visualization aspect as well. Create value through the big volume of data and expressions. So my students, regarding their own perceptions about prejudices and biased perceptions about different nationalities and all over the world, teacher used Google Jamboard to see students' different thoughts. They are written in Korean because this is the original data, but here are things. So for example, since we're in Thailand, we focus on Southeast Asian area, students said, well, things are cheaper there compared to, and then most of the countries in South Asian countries, they're still developing instead of developed, so sort of ideas. And if this was a technological, based approaches, these are traditional methods. Students put their thoughts and teachers group the ideas in different senses. And we also use the statistical data to see who consists of Korean demographics and populations. So according to the national statistics, we try to look at information, for example, the registered aliens by nationality. I know these words are small and it's difficult to read, but Thailand is the pink area, which takes the ninth largest group of foreigners in Korean society. Students also, so with such approaches, they conducted some data analysis. Again, written in Korean as an original document, but I put an example over here. So let's say in the some trend, the big data analysis tool, students the search for the concept idea is Islam, and they can look on some blogs and tweeters, what people say about this word for the past 1 month, and then this is what students found. Well, on Twitter, they found some unique trend, and they look at the ideas and say people talk about, people associate mostly like ideas like the Muslim, Arabs, feminists, the Buddhism, or monks to Islam, and most of the ideas, the related words, have present negative feelings to the group, like misogyny or discrimination. So students can have come up with such analysis. So this is assumption, the website that I talked about. Just to show you one example, I put the word, it was last week, I put Thailand as a key concept over here. The analysis period from September 13th to 19th, just last week. And here's the result. I know the words are in Korean, but I tried my best to translate in English. So top number one, Thai-related words in Korean thing is the travel. So here are like a list of words that people mention a lot with Thailand. So we see travel, number one, like food, the road, rice, and menu, overseas, pad thai is here, which we had for lunch today. But then the interesting thing is that the week third, the 18th and 19th, there were new sort of trends that we figure out. There were different words, unlike words that were popped up because there was a soccer game. Soccer match in Korea versus Thailand, which I didn't know before. So games and Asian games, competitions, soccer were the new type of words that were popped up. All right, 76% of the people Koreans feeling regarding Thailand is positive. So a lot of different delicious foods and high expectations, etc. These are the feelings that Koreans have about Thailand. And this is how students are doing their analysis in classrooms. And students come up with their own work samples. This shows we asked the students to create some visual representation of their understanding, analysis of big data. And here's one poster that a student made, which I really liked. It says, it's a casino and airport. It says Southeast Asia, a place you want to go, but a place you're reluctant to accept. So people who want to travel to Southeast Asia, yes, they are singing, there's a long line waiting for, they're living for the place. But people who are coming from Southeast Asia, according to our analysis, many people associate with like a migrant laborers, workers, finding workplaces in Korea, so that Koreans hesitate to accept them, and they face multiple hurdles by entering the country. So I really like this work sample from my students, and here's another type of poster. They create poster based on the word cloud. They found some of the newspaper titles that they found interesting. So this is an example. Written in Koreans again, but still students try to use diverse graphic organizers to show their understanding. So we see a fishbone example here. That was last year. So this year, we're trying to use generative AI. We are talking about this year's, the content topic is sustainability, and this year we're focusing on middle school levels in 7th to 9th grade. So we haven't done it yet, but this is what we developed, and we are in the process of implementing these lessons in classrooms. This picture is Tuvalu, a small island in South Pacific area. This island is sinking every year because of the rising sea levels, and we talked about this reality that people are facing because of the climate change and sustainability issues. Students are asked to read a picture book dealing with such situation. So that's the content knowledge background. And I asked the generative AI to create such image. And this is what the DALI, the image generative AI, came up with. I asked it to draw me some images showing a sinking island because of the rising sea level. And this is what the DALI came up with. I guess it used lots of data that presented in Tuvalu, and then come up with such sort of conclusions and results. That's my guess. And then specific names and the countries. But then when I asked the same question in Korean, it didn't really give give any names of the countries. It only says it's a communal responsibility. Global society should work together to solve this problem. So AI, I know, we put same questions in different languages and different responses in the results. So this is something that we can talk about as well. So Rita is a Korean sort of a version of AI portal site. And then this is what we're going to ask students to do. We haven't done it yet. But to test out our lesson plans, we had a teacher workshop. These are my cooperating teachers. And we came together having a workshop using the AI tools. And here's what we come up with. So, we used the website, the AI, generated AI tool, and come up with these images and ideas showing, bringing awareness of the climate change. All right, so pretty interesting, right? Doing a good job. All right, so my reflections from practices. We've done some research and practice, time to reflect. So what have you learned and what improvement can be made? All right, how much time do I have?
A lot. Keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to first of all speak about the positive effects, the meanings and effects, and then I will also share my reflections and rooms for improvements later. Also, meanings and effects, there were three successful sort of results that you're able to see. The first is in-depth reflective content knowledge and understanding could be possible throughout the AI integrated social studies classes. It can be law, it can be climate change, but a variety of social studies themes and topics could be explored with AI in classrooms, and students like them. It also actually deepens students' understanding. AI can serve as a mirror reflecting our society. It actually did a better job of showing the realities of our society instead of textbook, which was written many years ago. So that was helpful. And AI helped students not only having cognitive understanding, understanding through the brain, but also have feelings, understanding through emotion, empathy, and aesthetic sort of sensibility as well. Second, interest and receptivity to the latest AI. Students showed a pretty high level of these. So before designing such lessons, the teachers and educators, researchers, we worry that, what if students are not interested in AI? What if it takes too much time to learn about AI tools? We didn't have to worry about this because students are very receptive. They were highly interested. So it was successful in that sense. AI could motivate active learning participation on all levels of students, whether they are low achieving, high achieving. And high levels of interest again, receptivity, what students show to the latest AI tools. So we discovered that AI has a potential to be a useful tool, and it can be an accelerator to enhance the diversity and quality of learning in classes. Number three, creativity and convergence competences could be developed in such lessons. Students experience the most up-to-date technological tools, and they experience the new ways of searching, analyzing, and presenting diverse types of data. So that could be a positive experience for them. They could connect social studies content skills and dispositions to seemingly very unrelatable area of technology. So in that sense, they could discover some possibilities of convergence between the two areas. They could have a chance to visualize their thinking and presenting what's understanding, drawing on creative method of expression. But there were also lots of worries and concerns and failures as well. So here are things that I would like to rethink and reflect this year and later on. First of all, back to basics. So why do we this in social studies? What for? Sometimes AI becomes more important than anything else. In that sense, trying to come back to the basic ideas, the core purpose of studying social studies. So for example, in 2021, I told you that students studied the criminal law cases and wrote newspaper manuscripts and put that as an AI sort of news creator, we thought that dealing with using the AI tool will be difficult, but the more challenges that students found was writing newspaper manuscript. They never watched the TV news before. They don't know how the news scripts are written. They are not able to finish like one good sentence in a logical sense with the subjects and verbs and etc. So then, before studying AI, instead of AI literacy, having like traditional literacy can be, should come first. So in that sense, what should be a priority is a question that teachers and I keep asking ourselves. So the dilemmas regarding the AI application in subject area, should all teachers be able to understand, use, and make AI or not? Right. Next, critical approach to AI ethics and responsibilities. Throughout many years of processes, we learned that at the end, the inception of AI, developments, trends, and changes are all dependent on human decisions. And data that it studies, results that it shows, all depends on people's creations and people's thinking. So it ultimately comes from human creation. That's the conclusion that we come up with. AI, in that sense, similar sense, AI can both reinforce or challenge people's confirmation biases as well. So there's a room of area that we should be very careful, critical, make rational decisions, and responsible users and creators of data. Next, instant trend or sustainable partner. What should AI be to social studies? We see lots of trends several years ago. Metaverse was something that everybody should be on, but then nowadays no one is really talking about it. A couple of years ago, like virtual spaces became a trendy jargon. No one is talking about it anyways. So ChatGPT, who knows? So we'll see how it progresses. But in social studies classrooms, and what improvements need to be made. If the ethics and responsible usage of AI is really important, social studies can have more important roles and responsibilities as well. So me as a teacher educator, we talked about the issue very briefly, but it's time to think about, then how to educate pre-service teachers and teacher education organization, how we should train in-service teachers for professional development, and what should national, local, and community level policies and more. So these were sort of ideas that I would like to think with you. Thank you.
Okay, what a fascinating presentation by Dr. Choi. And on that, we again have a discussion prepared by Dr. Srinakarinwirot. Would you please?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very interesting project because I share the experience. I'm currently doing some kind like this with my students too, because I forced to do it. My student is far more smarter than me, so they currently using a lot of kind of AI in study already. So I have to follow them. So I have a child, but I want to ask Professor Choi about one or two questions. So the first is about the how can we make more efficient assessments and evaluation tools in social studies subjects with AI assistance in our subjects. And the second is how we initiate to start our teacher in service and pre-service to use AI in our social studies subjects.
All right, thank you for your question. So based on limited range of my experiences, I think I can better answer question number 2. So what I try to do is that, so this type of project itself can be a good, I believe, I hope, in professional development for in-service teachers who are participating in this project. And indeed, their role in the whole organization-wide role in the program is that they go outreach and teach other teachers and share their practices as well. And the participating in-service teachers are doing there. So in that sense, it can be a good outreach and professional development. And I, as a teacher educator, try to adopt the same lessons in my pre-service and teacher education courses, so the students can at least have a couple of weeks to experience such tools and new sort of technologies and educational projects and policies in my classrooms. So we can start with some small practices and sharing ideas and practices in this professional community can be one way to do that. And I hope that we can broaden such efforts with other educators.
Is that all from any other discussions or comments?
So I can share my experience because I came from nowhere and I use really a ChatGPT in my subjects that I teach students on grade 10 to 12, and I let them use ChatGPT to answer my final examination, and I let them criticize the answer from the AI answers. So I give them this many ideas and many views to criticize the AI answer, and also compare their own answer with the AI answer, something like that. And the first phase I did assess is just ask them in the interview and the questionnaire. And it is very positive attitude toward AI using, because students they live in it already. They already live in the AI and they use it a lot, and they think it's very useful to implement it in the subject that they save their time about homework or assignments a lot. And this semester I let them use ChatGPT to create a short story and about their geography project. I let them create the geography project from the game or something like that, and let them create a fictional short story, fictional about 2,000 words from ChatGPT, and to let them control the AI, how they can control the AI to their project, and they can. I don't know where it will go in, where it's going to be, because I don't know how to have a proper assessment. But the only information I have now is they are really like to use the AI, and I think it's very funny to use it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think we are all on the same page. Dr. Wallai also mentioned about that at the keynote address, that the students, we don't need to worry about that. It's us that has to be retrained about the AI stuff. Any other questions, comments? Okay, would you pass over?
Thank you so much for very interesting presentation. About your kind of case studies which you conducted with in-service teachers, the 3 types of case is all implemented in high school, right? In high school.
First 2 years in high school, this year we'll do to middle school.
Middle school, I see. My question is the lesson plan or the findings of your research can be applied for the primary school student or other school stages. If you have any ideas or...
Oh, my ideas. At this point, well, not specifically, but yes. Also, the middle school and high school, just like same as in Japan, those 2 school levels are categorized as a secondary education in South Korea. So we focused on our effort on these school levels, but definitely and hopefully we can extend such efforts to primary education as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it's very interesting, the presentations and the discussions. Thank you so much for the presentations, Dr. Chen, and again for Dr. Surakrai. I think this is a good time for us to take a coffee break. Okay, so we'll be getting restarted at 50, so 2:50, and unfortunately we don't have coffee, they say, although it is a coffee break. So we can go down to the first floor for the refreshment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you again. Let's get the second part of the session started. The third presentation will be delivered by Dr. Srinakarinwirot University. Am I right? Yes, from Thailand. The title is AI and Big Data, Opportunities and Challenges for Civic Education.
Thank you very much. Welcome me into this panel. As a social studies teacher, as I mentioned before, I was forced to use an AI to teach our students because our students already use it in their life. So at first, I was asked to present in this room that I don't have any enough data to conclude my experiment about using AI, as I said before. So I just start to review the published evidences to share, like a systematic review about AI and big data for civic education. So it is to be said that it's very important to every aspect of learning today that we have to use AI and big data, especially today in civic education. And we always challenged by technologies like 30 years before internet was coming, and we have to adapt to the internet. And now AI and big data coming, so we have to adapt to it too. Okay. So it's come with both great opportunity and great challenge to deal with the AI, because we don't know where it can be, where it can go, and especially in ethical issue about using AI and then how AI will bring to the far edge of the ethic of the human, and it also reflects how we apply our ethic in our society by using our big data to illustrate the bias showing in the AI. So I am going to show you that how I review the data to contribute to civic education. So what is the big data and AI? So big data is a big amount of data that we cannot use to interpret by just Excel or something like that. It's very, very big kind of the data that we have to use the language, kind of computer language program to interpret that, like Professor Choi used in the project in the second years, like so that we have to analyze the very complex of a bunch of data that can show us many ideas that show how can we, such as we use the camera in everywhere in Thailand or in Korea or in Japan, that we can use the computer that to interpret how the camera recording in some aspects such as crimes or for teaching or something like that. But AI is learning machine itself. It's an artificial intelligence that human create. The computer can learn by itself, and it learn from the big data. So in the near future, we have to use an AI to deal with the big data. So it is the important point that we can concern that. So we have to learn with our students to use AI to control or interpret the big data. So it's easier to use the data in our daily life and our teaching. So there are the two big ways to use AI and big data. So the first is the synergy. Synergy, big data, use big data itself to interpret information with useful to us and advancement. So let AI do it instead of doing ourselves. So the big data, and I think it is it's familiar with us, and also it is hard to use in our social study because we are not the engineering programmer. So, but in fact, if we step into it, it's very easy to understand. So that's why I present the big data and AI together, because I am starting using big data as a beginner level. So I found that big data is very useful to teach our students, especially in social studies, because we have a bunch of kind of data. For example, that political participation on the internet. Yeah? So we can let our students use this to analyze, to make a creativity or something like activity to foster students to be a good citizen in the future. And AI education. So we can use it in many ways, such as Professor Choi presented before. So she is using the typically teaching in her subjects, and that's very useful. So, but we didn't find a lot of practice yet. So I think this is a great opportunity to starting ourselves to use the AI. So AI can use education management, so and learning and assessment. So and empowering teacher and enhance teacher, and also UNESCO emphasize on lifelong learning. So it means everyone at every level and in every age, every gender can use AI to learn. But I think it's very challenging to us to teach our pre-service teacher to teach AI in our real society in many levels, in many contexts, in many complex way in their life, in school, in many contexts, to extend lifelong learning by AI, because we have a shallow understanding of these tools. So yeah, but in the paper of the UNESCO, I sense the positive way of the writing, that they say that AI can positively impact education through innovation and personalized learning experience, such as we faced with the internet before. In the past, we fear that internet will affect our society in the bad way, but generally, so when we use the internet in our teaching, it influences many good ways, and it was many advantage way for our teaching. So even the Harvard University using ChatGPT in the course, that this very famous course about computer engineering from Harvard, CS50. Yeah, it is also a free course that if you want to understand about the computer engineering in the basic level, you can register and learning from it. So now they are using ChatGPT to teach us to coding, to dealing with the data, and to make machine learning. It's the one of the aspect, or one of the views of using AI and data. So this is the table that general using of AI in education. The last one is last column is about application in education. This is the advocate, and this advocate we discussed a lot before. And I think in my highlight is we can immediately use this implication for our social study. But the rest, that is for the general education, especially the computer science or computer engineering, something like to use AI, or even my institution teach the STEM education. My students use this kind of education to complete their study a lot. So, but I think for my limited knowledge, we can use these 2 steps to start out using AI in our social studies subjects. So the opportunity and the challenge that civic tech and digital literacy, so it is like an internet community. AI and big data user community has grown in all over the world, such as in the communities as Kaggle, something like the tech community. They share the knowledge about big data and AI together, and they growing up. And if we use this kind of community with our students and we integrate civic education into the community and let them do some project or some analysis from big data and AI assistant, that they will find it very interesting learning from this community, such as that they can contribute more political participation, or they can share their idea about ethical issue that we don't know what is exactly yet to do about AI currently and in the future. So we can let our students contribute to this issue. And this is kind of the civic engagement. Or let our students make a project contribute to better communities, such as they can also look into the big data about the health of the public health, and they will analyze some very useful data that from the kind of very big data, that they will find some issue that can help to improve the community health or environmental or public participation or something like this. And this is a very good challenge that we can foster in the digital civic engagement from this kind of community. So I think this is important, and our direct responsibility in teaching ethics, especially to teach our pre-survey teacher to teach ethics in the future, right? So ethics is a kind of the philosophy. It's very complex issue that we have to discuss, right? So if we let our students discuss, they will also improve their critical thinking, and they can use AI better at the same time. So this is, I think this is very important opportunity to us, and this is also the challenge too, because ethics is about right and wrong, and not right or wrong, right? So it depends on your community want to go and want to lead our students or foster our students to be in the future. It's like interest, group interest. If we got the moral dilemma, which is good enough to teach our students, that will be good, but it can lead to the wrong way too. So this is our critical thinking to create our lessons about ethical issues to use big data and AI in my personal view. So this is like it can lead to use AI as a responsible use of AI. So it's like when we assign some kind of work as student and let AI completely do it and send something to us, so that they learn nothing except using AI. So we have to develop ourselves to assign some critical point that students cannot use just AI make the assignments 100%, so they have to do something with the AI itself too, and the student can learn with us many aspects of using AI. So, and the most important is as I asked so many presenters about the curriculum, pedagogy, and education policy. So it is the time, right, to thinking about it, that how can we put this into the curriculum level, alignment, teaching AI and big data with the national curriculum, teacher education curriculum, school curriculum, in many levels, that we have to build this community in our education to foster this to happen. I think it's very important too, because we stepped into AI, and another step we don't know how to go further. So we have to build this community to let this happen in a proper way or for our community. So this is controversial issue that one side afraid of using AI and one side support 100% for an AI. So we have to teach students to be careful about using AI, even as we have to learn with our students. So and the future work and research about the big data and artificial intelligence for simulation. It is very great opportunity because I looked up into the research, direct research about big data in civil education or in social study. There is very few research, especially in AI. There are not many researchers. I think this publication cannot be found easily. So this is our opportunity to do a research about this kind of advancement research about using AI in education, especially in our specialized in social studies teaching. And so come to my conclusions. Responsible AI and big data is vital for the great opportunity to learn for us and our students, and it can assist to be to use useful tool to inform and create our very good citizen in the future in democratic view, something like that. So can you see my acknowledgement? I even use ChatGPT help improve my paper and these presentations. Yes, I have to thank him. And I use this report to set my publications. Okay, I think this is time to discuss and thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. Give you some applause. Very interesting presentations, and it's a little weird. I'm going to be a discussant for a moment and transform me into a chair again a little bit later. Can you? Yes. Again, I'm Kim Jae-geun from Daegu National University of Education. Thank you for the presentation, and it was very inspiring and helpful for me to understand this new area of AI and education. Actually, this is out of my expertise, but as you said, I believe no one is expert in this area. So I'll just briefly briefly review what you have written in the manuscript, and then ask some easy questions, and I will add on some my personal thoughts on your manuscript. The paper is about how these fast-growing information technologies, such as big data and artificial intelligence, are reshaping this social studies education and civic education, and how we should address this. And the paper was written in a very clear way. So it was very easy to understand because it started with basic concepts of big data and AI, as you said. Then it went forward to address the core topics of this manuscript. The most impressive excerpt from the paper was, let me read this. Educators must actively engage and receive training, and equally important is the willingness of students to embrace and utilize these tools. We have talked about this a little bit, like an hour ago, and as the keynote address addressed this issue. I believe no matter how the great technology is, the important thing, the essential is the readiness of the educators, us, and the students regarding the technologies. Because as Dr. Choi mentioned, there was his fashion is fast changing. So nobody knows. First question is, since big data and AI have become essential to each other in their creation and utilization, I think it is a little bit less effective to talk about them as two separate topics. So my question is, rather than discussing big data and AI separately, how about addressing them together? So, yeah.
Thank you for the question. This is one of the main points of my presentation, that is we can use it at the same time, as I said before, about the big data is just the data itself, but AI is our assistant. It's clever than us, it's far more, very smarter than us. So we have to learn the basic concept about the big data and how it can be useful to us. And we have to learn to control and use the AI to deal with the big data. So we have to have the basic skills of using AI to deal with the big data, and the purpose of using big data, so that very effective way for us, and even for our teaching to our students too, so that it can be many new knowledge can be found in the future. We don't have to do everything ourselves, but we just train the AI to do instead of us. It's very effective. It's very funny if you try to use AI to do something like that, because I'm learning to use it too, because yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Second question is, this is a little bit, it might be a little bit irrelevant to the manuscript, but it's my personal curiosity. In Thailand, how is this AI-related education coming along currently? What I mean is it a big deal in the field, or is it simply in its infancy? Does the country pay a lot of attention to it compared to the other technologies? So, yes, whatever you want to say, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It's crucial questions and interesting to answer that. In my point of view, as far as I am concerned, as I am Thai citizen, so my government don't care much about education. So you can see that our progress in our education is growth very slow. Even our national curriculum is very outdated. It's from 12 years ago. We never revised it. Our national curriculum, we never.
It's been 12 years.
Yeah, it's already been 12 years. And our, you know that because we have the political conflict that military always intervene with our politics, that they don't care much about education, so they force and freeze education to be the same, so they don't do a lot to advance things. So, and in my view, that the government don't pay a lot of attention. But in the level of faculty of education, the educational school, teacher school, that some kind of I can say such as my technology educator, my professor teaching in the technology educations, they pay a lot of attention about it. But the rest I don't know. The rest I don't know. But as I say, and the keynote speaker mentioned in the morning, that our kids already live in this kind of tools, but us have to follow them. So it is very slow growth in AI education in Thailand, in my point of view.
Yeah, I understood. The third question and last question is a personal question to you yourself. I was wondering what are the values or virtues that you and Thailand most emphasize in civic education? Because I had this impression that you regard engagement or participation and equity as essential values. So I was wondering if that's prevalent idea or prevalent perspective in Thailand, especially Thailand social studies education?
Yes, in general, social studies education in Thailand for students to have more engagement and more equity. But in fact, in current days, the social issue and political issue rising up among our kids, especially in teenage, because our people were forced by the military government for a long time. In my age and my older elder age, they used to it, but our kids cannot tolerate it anymore. So they want more engagement, they want more democracy. So a democracy comes with engagement and equity, right? But in Thailand, we have a huge problem about inequality and equity as well. Because our politics is very confused. If you read the news about Thailand, it's got many things is really kind of peculiar to make you all of you here because you come from the very fine democratic countries, right? You are growing up in democratic many years, many decades further advancements than us. So we are growing up about the learning about engagement and equity in the real life. So we as a social studies educator and we work on the democratic education and civic engagement. So we have to follow up this and we have to learn from our kids as well what they are thinking right now, what they want to do, what they want to have in the future, so we can assist them go in the proper way, because kids, they always have a lot of energy to do. So they have a protest, they do a lot of violent protests or something like this. So as we are teachers, so we have to learn with them and go with them to grow up our democratic rates and levels in Thailand. Yes.
Okay, very interesting.
Yes.
The other pages are personal thoughts. Is the written question is my personal thought. First one is because technological advances such as generative AI, the ChatGPT things, perhaps do not come as a big shock to the students. We teach as much as we do. So, because today's students are the digital natives, so-called, who are born and raised under the AI technologies. So it might be us, the teachers and teacher educators, who need to adapt to changes. So what I want to say is how agile we are in learning the new changes. The learning agility will be a critical competence for teachers, and it has to be built in more emphasis in teacher education for social studies teachers. Second thoughts on this AI and education thing is, I have this impression that those competences and abilities required in the era of artificial intelligence have long been explored in social studies education already. So, and among them, in a new era of this digital era, one of the most important competencies would be the ability to think critically and decide prudently. For example, we need to critically review the products of AI's creation. It can be visual, it can be text, but we need to be critically review them rather than address them unconditionally and make decisions about which to take or which to abandon. My last thought is, you mentioned a lot about these equity issues, especially in terms of the gender issues. But I also think it is also about the digital divide between the rich and the poor, which will tend to get harder to catch up with over time. So, and it also can be a generational thing with the senior citizens and the younger generations. So I think we need a diverse approach to this equity issue. So that's for all my personal thoughts. If you have any things to add, feel free to on my thoughts.
Yes, for the rich and poor, I think we have the big problems. And we say like Korea and Thailand, there's a very rich as cannot touch. They are living the sky in heavens, and then we have a lot of poor living. Even in Thailand, it's harder to live if you are poor in Thailand because the payment rate in Thailand is very low compared to Korea, something like that. So yeah, it's natural issue, but it's difficult to find empirical evidence in Thailand about this issue, so I cannot present in my paper. But I think it's time to encourage our students to dig deeper about themselves. Yeah, and now I'm also interested about the generation because now even me, I am already 36. I think I cannot understand my students' thoughts. They are teenagers. I feel that they are very far from me to understand them easier like before. So this is very interesting issue too. So the generation, the follower generation, they harder to understand that, but us easier to understand them because we were kids before, right? So I think it's very important to concern too.
Okay, thank you for your thoughts. I'm going to be a chair again. Any questions, comments from the floor? The staff can ask questions.
Yeah. Very welcome.
Okay, if not, that concludes the third presentation and discussions. Yeah, give him some round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The last presentation we are expecting is delivered by Professor Kang Dae-hyun from Korea. He is a professor of Jeonbuk National University. The title is Analysis of the Curriculum for Social Studies Teachers at College of Education.
Hello. I'm sorry. I sit down and make a presentation because I'm not good at speaking English. So we made some manuscript and then we leave that. Hello, I am Dae-hyun from Jeonbuk National University in South Korea. There is another presenter. Can you introduce yourself? Yeah.
My name is Ji Yong-eun. I'm working at Department of Social Studies and Education, Seoul National University.
Professor Ji Yong-eun and I are going to present today on how we are training pre-service teachers in social studies in Korea. It's a traditional issue. In particular, I would like to present a teacher training curriculum that teaches social studies, especially politics, law, economics, society, and culture in secondary schools. Our presentation is largely composed of 4 parts. I will present the first 2 parts, introduction and basic discussion. Introduction and basic discussion of the analysis of curriculum for social studies teachers, and Professor Eun will present the second 2 parts, analysis of the curriculum for social studies major and college of education, and discussion. So let's get started. Introduction. Our research motivation. We began teaching students as full-time professor at university in early 2012 and have been dedicated to training pre-service teachers for more than a decade, maybe 11 years. And, it's a long time, and the characteristic of curricular. The characteristic of curriculum of research teachers majoring in social studies at Korea University in Korea University are basically similar, but a closer look reveals many differences. The title of content of subject often differ depending upon the major of departmental faculty. This indicates disagreement over the content and method across the university regarding the development of social studies expertise for secondary school teachers. There are the periodic formal evaluation of teacher training institution. The national authority are also interested in the education provided to research teachers who would teach future generation in elementary and secondary school. Evaluation indicators remain difficult to develop, and difference remain as to whether the quality of the teacher training institution can be properly evaluated. Evaluation in one-time visit by external institution or a small number of experts is largely centered on quantitative indicators and appearance. This raises questions about how much this kind of review can contribute to improvements of teacher curricula. Therefore, we will review the overall curriculum of social studies major teachers and secondary teacher training college of universities in Korea. We analyze the current status, characteristics, and test of the overall curriculum related to social studies major and secondary teacher training college of university. We would like to find major implication for improving the curriculum of social studies major teachers across Korea. Two, basic discussion of the analysis of curriculum for social studies teachers. There are two parts. One is the previous studies of teacher curricula, and the other is current status of social studies teacher curricula at secondary teacher training universities. First, previous studies on teacher curricula. Studies related to teacher training system and institution in Korea can be classified into several types. Studies have been conducted of the overall teacher training system and institution for all the subjects, and studies have focused on teacher training system and institution for each subject, such as social studies. There are studies conducted on the overall teacher training system and institutions for all the subjects. These studies are some examples. And social studies there are studies of the social studies teacher training system and curricula, which are the focus of this study. And these are example. These studies are some example. And there are studies specifically analyzing the teacher training curriculum. For example, law also legal curricula, economic curricula, and these are some examples. Yes, these are also some another examples. And there are some studies dealing with pre-service teachers' perception of teacher curriculum. Pre-service teachers' perceptions. There are some, but these studies are some examples. And this study examined the training system and curriculum for social studies teachers. So we observe the current status and characteristics of each university social studies teacher training program, categorizing it by university. And we also determine how members of each university perceive and evaluate to curricula. And current status of social studies teacher curriculum and secondary teacher training university in Jeonbuk National University and Seoul National University. For example, there are 16 universities. Public is 11, private is 5. So Jeonbuk University and Seoul National University are public university. They have education of college of education. And this is my university. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I revised this curriculum. And Seoul National University is a university, but we own university. Just we work in that university. It's a joke, but you don't understand. My university and his university. Not we are not owner. Yes, and then Seoul National University has relatively many subjects that link social studies, education, and social science content knowledge. But while Jeonbuk National University clearly distinguished between social studies education and social science content knowledge. Maybe because this can also be seen in relation to the human composition of professor, department faculties. So, Jeonbuk, Seoul, and then the 14 remaining universities in the country are organized in various ways. Some is similar to Seoul National University, others are similar to Jeonbuk National University. So we will analyze the overall characteristics of the training curriculum for secondary social studies teachers, 16 university. So until now I have finished my task, and from now Professor Ng will present.
Then I will continue with the presentation of Chapter 3, Analysis of the Curriculum for Social Studies Major at College of Education. To analyze the curriculum for the Social Studies major at colleges of education, it is necessary to consider criteria and methods for analysis. Here we extract the key elements of the analytical criteria based on the particular identity of social studies. First, it is to be noted that social studies is an important subject for educating students to be members of a democratic society. Next, it must be stated that social studies are based on geography, history, and social science, and inquiry methods for students' education. Therefore, one of the two pillars of social studies expertise that are required by resource teachers is the perception of the identity of the subject that is expertise in social studies education that can foster citizens with democratic values, attitudes, and the ability to resolve problems or issues. Another pillar is the expertise in social science that can understand the concepts, generalization, and principles of geography, history, and social science, and use methods of inquiry and teach. For the analysis of the teacher curriculum, the most important analysis criteria is the presence of mutual organic harmony among the elements, including the balance between courses related to the subject pedagogy and the courses related to the subject content. The study presents 4 analytic criteria and questions as seen in Table 3. First, balance and the harmony between subject pedagogy and subject content of courses. Second, appropriateness and linkage of subject pedagogy courses. Third, consistent with the subject identity of subject content course. Fourth, appropriateness of the scope and the level of subject content courses. Now I would like to present the results of analyzing the curriculum for social studies teachers. We omitted table 4 in PPT screen because it is too long. So, for more information, please refer to the table 4 on page 139 to 149 for the conference room. Busan National University curriculum shows a relatively well-established connection between subject pedagogy and subject content. In the first and second grades, the curriculum teaches the basics of subject content and subject pedagogy. In addition, in the third and fourth grades, the curriculum links the subject to subject pedagogy and subject content can be learned simultaneously with the advanced content of social science. The subject pedagogy and the subject content of Busan National University are linked to subject pedagogy courses based on detailed areas of social science contents such as economic education seminar and teaching studies in law-related education. Moreover, they are connected with the subject content courses that reflect the perspective of social studies education, such as the law and human rights and social problems in civic education, and other courses feature pure subject content that address the advanced level content of the social science, such as the international politics, political economy, and microeconomics. This characteristic is presumed to rest on the fact that the two professors are focused on the subject pedagogy, allowing a more in-depth link between the subject pedagogy and the subject content. Gangwon National University and the Seoul National University also present these characteristics. In the case of these universities, examples of courses in which subject pedagogy and content are linked as follows. Subject pedagogy courses are related to specific areas of social science content, such as theories of political education and political education, theories of law-related education, seminar in law-related education, theories of economy education, and seminar in economy education, and theories of socio-cultural education, seminar in socio-cultural education. The subject content courses reflect the perspectives of social studies education, which aim to foster democratic citizenship, such as political process and citizenship participation, democracy and citizenship education, and civic education and democracy, constitution and citizenship education, and civic education and constitutional law, and civic education and the social problems. We aim for that the reason that the composition of these courses are that members of the department are mainly specialists in subject pedagogy. The curriculum of Chungbuk National University focused on subject content rather than subject pedagogy education. Courses linked to subject pedagogy exist only in subject pedagogy courses related to detailed social science areas, such as seminar in political education and seminar in economics education. In addition, subject content courses are composed of pure subject content courses corresponding to detailed academic fields in the social sciences, such as understanding of the market economy, politics and thought, international relations, and the law of public life. However, it is difficult to identify subject content courses related to subject pedagogy. This is typical of local universities, as the department members consist of one professor majoring in subject pedagogy and 3 professors majoring in subject content. These characteristics appear to be the same as those of Daegu University, which shows similar department member ratios. However, relative to Chungu National University, Daegu University provides instruction in more subjects that link the subject pedagogy and subject content. Like this. Examining the composition of detailed courses at Daegu University, subject pedagogy courses related to the detailed areas of the social science content, such as a seminar on political education and a seminar on economic education, coexist with subject content courses that reflect the perspective of the subject pedagogy, such as microeconomics and education, and the changes in political thoughts and cities of education, understanding of international relationships, and social law and civic education. In addition, pure subject content courses such as political life and power and history of sociological theory exist at the same time. A comparative analysis of the composition of courses at Daegu and Chungu National University indicates that both universities share a common point in that the weight of subject content is higher than that of subject pedagogy. However, compared with Chungu National University, Daegu University displays a relatively high proportion of courses linked with subject pedagogy and content. These characteristics differ somewhat in degree, and similar patterns are seen not only at Chungu National University and Daegu National University, but also at Gyeongsang National University, Jeju National University, Jeonbuk National University, Gwangju National University, Gyeongbu National University, and Seowon University, although they are located in the metropolitan area of Seoul and Gyeonggi-do. Ewha Women's University, Seongsin Women's University, and Inha University have similar characteristics. On the other hand, Korea National University of Education has multiple professors providing instruction in all specializations, so courses in curriculum, education, and curriculum content are provided in a wide variety relative to other universities. Finally, focusing on the subject content courses of the universities in Table 4, the results of relevance analysis as follows. Even pure subject content courses that lack a connection with subject pedagogy are determined to exhibit sufficient utility in terms of civic education if they contain advanced level of social science knowledge closely related to secondary social studies curriculum. However, pure subject content courses such as democracy in America, Marxian political economics, and personality psychology are considered closely related to the detailed major characteristics of individual major professors instead of the secondary social studies curriculum. And now we'll move on to the last chapter 4 discussion. What is the best curriculum for nurturing future social studies teachers? As with other aspects of the practical studies, there is no correct answer for the pedagogy. However, taking into account that the social studies department is rooted in some pedagogy for students of education, while using the content of social sciences, the balance of harmony between the two aspects should be the most important measure. In detail, courses that appropriately link the subject pedagogy and content are categorized under subject pedagogy and content courses as follows. First, some pedagogy courses that focuses on courses related to the detailed areas of social science content need to be operated. Second, some content courses that highlight courses that help acquire social science knowledge closely related to the secondary social studies curriculum need to be operated in compliance with the identity of social studies, which is the cultivation of democratic citizenship. Currently, 16 universities in Korea are training pre-service social studies teachers. These universities provide various courses according to the proportion of each department's own greater concentration on subject content. Overall, there are more universities with the latter characteristics than the former. In addition, some universities provide subject links to subject pedagogy and subject content in an effort to balance and harmonize subject pedagogy and subject content. While the results of these experimental approaches are not clear, it is necessary to improve the curriculum for social studies by sharing these experiments in changes across various contexts. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for two presenters, two professors. I would say it was very practical and as well as very inspiring for this. Dr. Srinakarinwirot, our hero today, is going to discuss again. Please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kim again, chair of this group, and thank you very much for the presenters, Professor Kang Dae-yeon and Professor Eun Ji-young. Have I said correctly? Yes, it is very impressive for the fantastic presentation studies and very useful for especially me, who is a social study teacher, and sometimes I teach in the Faculty of Education for my professors to train pre-service teacher and in-service teacher. And so I share first my experience that I learned to be a social study teacher in Thailand, in Srinakarinwirot University, and the oldest university in Thailand. This is totally different from your study present to us, because mostly I studied the pure social science and humanity subjects from others faculties, such as we studied content about history in the Faculty of Arts. We study politics from the Faculty of the Political Science. Yes, and we only study the pedagogy in our school. So, but we have very few subjects that link those contents and pedagogy courses together. But we don't have the distinguished kind of the democratic subjects to teach our pre-service teachers, just like you present the various kind of seminar in democratic and ethics or economics and democracy and something like law and democracy and something like that. We don't have that kind of subject in Thailand, as many universities that provided teacher education don't have something typically democracy education like Korea and Japan. So that is broaden my knowledge of typically knowledge about the curriculum. So it is very fantastic to use to teach our pre-service teacher about curriculum, social studies curriculum that how Korean train their citizen to be a teacher to teach their democratic system to their citizens, to their kids, something like that. That's why we can see I can say the distinct typically real evidence in Thailand that our democratic rate is very low. But look at the history of the Korea, the rapid change during the history that now we can say that a fully democratic system in Korea rather than Thailand. But Thailand is still, I don't know what we can even call our political system right now to our system. But I'm very impressed that so very that you to present here that so very useful to Thai teacher, especially social studies teacher in Thailand and faculty of education in Thailand. Actually, we can instantly use your study to teach our students. So, but I have one question, a little question, because I want you to share your ideas that how we address the technology, especially in AI. We are talking today in the social study curriculum for teacher training. From your opinion, from your point of view, how can we address override our current curriculum to teach our pre-service teacher about AI issue? Thank you very much.
I understand all of his discussion, so can you explain some focus?
Okay.
The focus of the question.
Can you clarify
your question?
the last?
Last question.
Is, can you please suggest how can we revise our social studies curriculum to train our
pre-service and in-service teachers? Okay.
In terms of technology, right?
Yeah, AI.
Include technology.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it is important to determine the identity of social studies education. I think social studies education is a kind of a citizenship education, but to use social science in classroom. So Professor Yoon mentioned that two pillars. One is subject pedagogy. It is focused on each focus on citizenship education. How can educate democratic citizen in our country? I think democratic citizen is informed and reasoned decision maker and actor in Thailand, in Korea. So what is a citizen education? This is a very important and basic question. And what is social studies? And then the connection to subject contents, subject pedagogy, focus on citizenship education and subject content such as political science and economics and maybe answer some technology and AI, big data, etc. So I think the role of educator to professor, the role of professor make a connection subject pedagogy and subject content and technology. It is not a role of teachers, but in Korea and maybe in Thailand, it is a role of teachers. Professor just teach subject pedagogy independently and separately and subject content. And then you, teacher, make a connection, but it is not fair. So professor have a connection. So I think there are some lectures focus on connection of subject pedagogy and subject content. It is a very good or best legal example. And share and discussion. After share and discussion, we make a very a variety of connections. So it is a very important point to educate teachers. Professors make a connection, and then pre-service and in-service teachers can make connection with the two pillars. Yeah.
I would like to take one example. Curriculum subject dealing with AI, intelligence, and technology, and science issues. 2015 and 2022 revision curriculum subject. Some units deal with AI intelligence issues. So students learn these concepts and discuss the issues about that. Yeah. So I took the example of current curriculum in social studies in Korea.
So we are trying to include those technological issues in the national curriculum, and maybe he is suggesting that could be one of the key solutions to your country. Okay, any other comments, feedbacks, or questions from the floor? Since we got, yes.
Thank you very much for very interesting presentation. Since I'm also working in the field of pre-service and in-service teacher training, it's very, very important point, I think. And before asking questions, would you please explain again what is subject pedagogy? I think it's a bit ambiguous word. So would you please explain again the definition?
Maybe I think it is similar to Japan because there are some periods that Japan ruled our country. So there are a category of subjects. We call that 교과, such as social studies, physical education, and mathematics. We call that 교과. It's not a subject. It's a category of a subject. So social studies is we call a kind of 교과. So and there are some subjects. So we define subject pedagogy is the theory and practice of social studies education, or subject. If your major is physical education, subject pedagogy is physical education, the theory of practice of physical education. So we define subject pedagogy is like that. And then subject content is the resource. We use the political science and sometimes social issues. So we call that subject content. That means, okay, do you understand? Yeah.
So, thank you so much for your explanations. I understand the situation. And in Japan, the situation is similar, I think, because some subjects taught in university is mainly focused on subject content. And in Japan, the subject, the university subject of classes, which is focusing on the subject content, sometimes taught by the professor or university teachers whose major is not necessarily in education. So it's in a sense very natural that such professor cannot make a connection between content and pedagogy. So you at the end of the presentation taught us that it's not fair for school teachers to ask to connect. Sorry for my poor English. So my idea is sometimes a discussion on how we can make connection between content pedagogy and subject content and subject pedagogy through discussion with teachers and also university researchers. How do you think about this idea?
I have two kinds of solution. In Korea, maybe in Japan, maybe in Thailand. I don't know the exact situation in Japan or Thailand, but in Korea, in my university, Jeonbuk National University, my major is social studies education. So my role is focus on subject pedagogy, subject education. So and the others professors major political science, sociology, economics, and law. My solution is two directions. One is social studies professor. His major is social studies education. I think they must learn some social science, law, and then they have some idea of law education, law-related education. It's one direction. And another direction is social science. Their major is social science. It is important because they work in educational college. So they must, but they don't. They don't. But I would like to. They learn to. His major is economics. I want they learn to economic education because they educate economic teachers. So there's two solutions. And then in my experience, some professors are interested in economic education or law education. There's two directions, and second direction is very important because they know subject content, and then after that they learn. After they learn subject pedagogy or education, so it is easier than such as my major is social studies education. Second is more easier.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
In my case, I major in the social and cultural education. So I tried to connect sociology and anthropology to educational application. Taking one example, the reverse case, some professor major in content, for example, such as sociology theories or cultural sociology. He had in-depth knowledge in that field, but he is interested in educational application, so he wants to research education field. So he and I co-research, and so I learned the in-depth sociology, and he learned education application. So he and I sometimes often co-research and draft paper in society culture education field.
I revise my solution. Their third direction solution. It's best. It's best. Co-working. It's best.
Thank you very much. Okay. The second solution you suggested reminds me of the idea that we may need to educate those content experts to become teacher educator. I don't know how, but because asking them to be a teacher educator, authentic teacher educator, they might think it's too harsh to accept. They might be expecting to become a real teacher educator to help. They may need some help from us. Yeah, that's one of my thoughts. Any other questions? Because we have some time left. Professor Lee or Choi? No?
Well, just a comment. Well, my university was mentioned as not an ideal because it separates content, but it's indeed a very important insights, right? Yes, ideally, it will be the best, to find some ways to better integrate, what to teach and how to teach in courses. So again, there's another responsibilities. I feel like when we have a chance to revise the teacher education curriculums, maybe such an analytic result will be a very good reference to study and take insights. And I also believe that, yes, instead of outside organizations like Department of Ministry of Education, do some, for us, superficial level of evaluation, it's better, to start from us to reflect and compare each other's curriculum and make things better. So thank you.
Can I ask you just a quick one more question? Do you have, I think you know the answer but didn't write. What made the difference between what made the difference in this research result? Some universities are desirable, some universities are not. If you know the answer, that can be very helpful for the other universities to revise their curriculum. So that would be my last question.
In Korea, 16 universities, I think they have different situation. So the faculty members are different, and I think just one idea, but I think the balance of composition of department faculty members, because in local area or even government university, there is only one subject pedagogy major, so 2 or 3 pedagogy major. The professor who major for his major is subject pedagogy, and then it is easier than now. So I think first and second grade, research teachers learn subject pedagogy and subject content separately, and then third grade or fourth grade, and then I keep such as team teaching or something like that. There are some connection lecture which connect subject pedagogy and subject knowledge, subject content, such as law-related education. I think the contents of lecture, 2 kind of content. One is the theory of law-related education, and the other the practice of law-related education, such as criminal law. Professor Choi present, but teacher make that class plan. But I think in lecture, Professor Guy and then research teachers have an opportunity to make that kind of plan and practice.
You don't have to, but okay, that concludes the last presentations and discussions. Can we give them a big applause, please? Okay, I think we can wrap it up here. We had a very inspiring and helpful discussion so far. Just so you know, we have another sessions left, right, at the second floor. So we can together go down to the second floor for the last session. Okay, thank you very much and hope to see you at the second floor. Thank you.